The hour of convening having arrived, all members of the House will please report to the floor and take seats. All members will report to the floor of the House. Mr. Clerk, would you ring the bell? All members will report to the floor of the House. We are going to have the morning roll call. All members present will please vote green to signify their presence in the chamber, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines. Doorkeepers will please close the doors and keep them closed. Well, good morning. Welcome to Crossover Day 2020. First of all, I hope you'll join me in keeping in your thoughts and prayers today Chairman Ron Stevens, whose father is being buried today down in Toombs County. Chairman Bonnie Rich, who we hope will be back soon, has been ill, and Chairman Mandy Ballinger. I talked with Chairman Ballinger yesterday, and she's fighting a good fight. Let me sort of, before we get going, kind of tell you where we are. We announced some measures Tuesday to hopefully that would be cautious measures for the health and safety of, first of all, the public, and then members and staff and others. Since that time, the reports have gotten a little well, actually more than a little more concerning, and we are at the present time sort of reevaluating where we go. Here's where we will have crossover day, and we will in all likelihood be here tomorrow. Members do not have to be here tomorrow except for me and the clerk and the messenger and general counsel, because all we will do tomorrow is do first readers of the Senate bills. No other action planned. And I've met with the governor early this morning. I'm meeting with him again over the lunch break today, and we're we're working together, both with he and the Senate, on the course of action that will be most conducive to the health and safety of members, staff, and the public. These are hard decisions to have to make. Seems like whatever you decide, somebody's going to take a poke at you, but I think the best thing to do at this point in time is to err on the side of caution. And if they want to criticize me for being too careful to guard the health of the people in this chamber, then I will stand and plead guilty. I think everybody's kind of in one mind and accord of that. We will keep you posted. Now, let me one final thought. I don't know if y'all have noticed this, but have y'all ever noticed that there are rumors that float around this building? I just found that out the other day. And I promise you, you can go out in the hall and you can pick out any lobbyist and they'll know more than all of us put together about what we're going to do. Well, they don't. They don't. So we will give you the information when decisions are made. And until that time, no decisions are being made. Okay? And so this business about, all the speculation out there is just, it's totally unproductive. Actually, it's harmful. And in this case, it's beyond harmful. We may even have a session where we don't let lobbyists in the building and we can go on with our business. How about that? I think bipartisan support. Okay. We will begin our day today with scripture reading and prayer by the chaplain, after which we will pledge allegiance to the flag of our country. Our chaplain this morning will be introduced by the gentleman from the 33rd House District. I guess this will be his last chaplain, Chairman Tom McCall. Chairman McCall.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for letting me do the preacher of the day on my last crossover day. And thank all of y'all for putting up with me for so long. I appreciate it. Before I introduce Jim, his wife Amy and one of his main lay leaders are sitting in the balcony up there with Jane, and we appreciate y'all braving the virus and coming. Jim McCullough is a preacher at Methodist Church, in First Methodist Church in Elberton. He's been a preacher for 24 years. He graduated from Georgia State in Emory. And that is about him, but I want to talk about him for a second. You know, with all this virus and stuff going on and this crossover day and everybody getting stretched out, we thought we might ought to have a preacher from God's denomination, which is the Methodist Church. So, anyway, my seatmate shaking his head. Something about Jim, he picks a guitar, plays bluegrass gospel music with my son who picks a banjo. He wears alligator boots. And there's a difference between a preacher and a pastor. And, preacher can stand up on Sunday morning, work about one day a week and got a big old book to go by. But a pastor works 7 days a week, all day long, all night long. And while I don't go to the little church I go to has about 30 members, my children go to his church. And the difference between a pastor and a preacher, and he is my pastor. Last year when I was having all this heart surgery stuff and You know, they take you back down in the bottom of the hospital and they got you stretched out and shaving you so you look like a 3-year-old when they get through with you. In walks Jim. And I said, how in the world did you get way down here when the doctors can't even come down here? And he said, oh, well, they know me. I come down here a lot. So that says a lot about him and the people he looks after. So without anything else, Jim McCullough.
Hard to follow that guy, isn't it? So, speaker, leader, whip, members, Tom, and our Lord Jesus Christ, I thank you for an opportunity to be before you. My wife said to me today, Jim, whatever you say, please make sure you leave them with this, and so I'm going to begin with that. She said, be genuine, be sincere, and then be seated, please. So Jesus is teaching, and he does this a lot. And he's on the side of a mountain, and maybe a group of folks like the folks we have right here, they lean in as he begins to teach the most famous sermon that you'll ever hear. And I want to read the verses from the Gospel of Matthew. The 5th chapter, 14th verse. Jesus is looking at him and he says, you are the light of the world. It's like a city on a hill that can't be hidden. And he says that no one, after that light is lit, no one goes and hides it under a bushel. They don't store it away. They don't keep it for themselves. But it gives light to all in the house. Could be this house, couldn't it? In the same way, let your light so shine that your good works, and today on Crossover Day, there's some good works, may glorify not us, but our Father in heaven. As I stand before you this morning, I stand first before a holy and loving God, a God of all people and great love. And I think about this light that he has given us, the light of Christ, but not just that, the light of compassion and hope. And as we stand here today, or as I stand, as your president in the House today, you will be the light for many others in this state, in this country, and in your communities. Jesus says that there's only one force in this world that still has power to turn heads. And that's when people give of their time, they give of their resources, they give of their position in life and in their communities so that they can be of service to others, so they can love others. Compassion means, in Latin, you break that word apart, it means to co-suffer. Compassion is to co-suffer. And so as we gather as the body on this day, you'll have the opportunity to co-suffer. Well, who will you co-suffer with? Well, those that you represent in the districts in which you serve. Those who have gone before you, who sat 26 years before you got here, Tom, they sat in number 33. And they helped prepare a place so that you could come and that you could serve and so that you could do that. In this world, it's the compassion and love of Christ that allows his light to shine in us. And it's our willingness to allow him to let that light shine. And so I guess my question for us this morning as we prepare to pray is, how brightly is your light shining? As you present on this final day, the hard work and all the conferencing and all the committee work, how will your words partner with others who are suffering and struggling? And how will you be that light in the world that will glorify our Father in heaven, the one who loves everyone? I think this happens most whenever someone crosses an ethnic or cultural barrier. I see it in my own life, a generational barrier. And they're willing to build bridges in our world filled with walls and moats and fences. I see that a lot. And then I see someone with affluence freely give it away and allow someone who has no place at the table or no place in the room have a seat at the table, and all of a sudden their voice is every bit as important as the voice of the one who received them. And for that, I thank you. I thank you for your willingness to invite people to be part of a world. Paul said it this way, where they came together, slave and free, male and female, Jew and Gentile, that they were all brothers and sisters, and yet he reconciled them to one another. And they were kind and gracious, for no one had ever seen a power like that in a world. And as the virus that's present right now, I saw a lot of, somebody gave me the shoulder speaker as I came in, and I realized how we were sensitive to that which was spreading among us. And that's good. It's certainly not the virus. But I want you to know that there's another virus at work, and that's what he's talking about, and it's the love of Jesus Christ, and that should be contagious, right? I mean, that should spread like wildfire. That should go before us, behind us, with us. And for that, and when we do that, our light so shines. I want to invite you to join with me as we pray together. Almighty God, we can't thank you enough for each person in this house this morning. For we have a nation today because generations of Americans have laid aside their personal needs and sacrificed their lives for the common good of this state and of our nation. And we have a land of liberty today because ranks of patriots believed that there was more that I can do. Gather us into one community where the hurting and hurtful are drawn together to love and to serve. Let us be strange to no one, not the least or the greatest of these. And then keep in your hearts the claims of the poor to be a part of community and your vision of one large, colorful world where all are equal and equally important to you. And remind us that the world was not made for us, but we for the world. Lord, we pray over our Congress men and women today, their calling, the work before them, as they legislate your handiwork of light and love and forgiveness and compassion. May they act justly, love mercifully, and walk humbly with you, God. We offer this prayer for you in Jesus Christ. I pray especially for those as we battle those who may who are suffering from the virus, and for those who are caring for those who are suffering. God, may you continue to work with those to bring healing, to bring about that which will offer hope to those who may be in its path. We offer this prayer in Christ our Lord. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Doorkeepers will unlock the doors. Excellent message. Hey, brother. The chair recognizes Chairman Hogan, the chair of the Committee on Information and Audits.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Committee on Information and Audits read the proceedings of the previous legislative day and found them to be correct. And for your information, Representative Chokas still reads them every morning too.
I think it's habit forming.
I think so. He probably needs some help in that area.
Chairman Hogan, the chair of the Committee on Information and Audits, reports that the journal of the previous legislative day has been read and found to be correct. Is there any objection to the confirmation of the journal? The chair hears none, and the journal is confirmed. The clerk will read the resolution establishing the order of business for the day.
Mr. Burnsville, on the 59th, moves following be established as the order of business during the first part of the period. Unanimous consents. Introduction of bills and resolutions. First reading and reference of House bills and resolutions. Second reading of bills and resolutions. Report of standing committees. First reading and reference of Senate bills and resolutions. Morning orders.
Is there any objection to the adoption of the resolution establishing the order of business for the day? The chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. First reading of bills and resolutions. The clerk will read.
House Bill 1146 by Representative Parsons, the 44th bill be titled an act to amend Code Section 16.6, 5.1 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to improper sexual contact.
Judiciary non-civil.
House Bill 1147 by Representative Pullen, the 131st bill be titled an act to amend an act to provide for the merger and consolidation of the existing Upson County school system.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 1148 by Representative Houston, and the 170th, the bill be entitled an act to amend an act to change provisions regarding the Magistrate Court of Berrien County.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 1149 by Representative McLeod of the 105th, Alexander of the 66th, Thomas of the 56th, Duke of the 154th, Carter of the 92nd, and others. Bill be titled Act to amend Chapter 9 of Title 17, the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to verdict and judgment.
Judiciary non-civil.
House Bill 1150 by Representative McLeod of the 105th, Thomas of the 56th, Alexander of the 66th, Duke of the 154th, and Davis of the 87th. Bill be entitled Act to amend Title 48 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to revenue and taxation.
Judiciary non-civil.
House Bill 1151 by Representative Schofield of the 60th, the bill being entitled an act to amend Title 33 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to insurance.
Insurance.
House Bill 1152 by Representative Schofield, the 60th, Hutchinson on the 7th, Mitchell, the 88th, and Carter, the 92nd. Bill being titled Act to amend Article 9 of Chapter 4, Title 49 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to temporary assistance for needy families.
Health and Human Services.
House Bill 1153 by Representative Schofield, the 60th, Hutchinson, and the 107th, Mitchell, the 88th. Bill being titled Act to amend Chapter 24, Title 33 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to insurance.
Special Committee on Access to Quality Health Care.
House Bill 1154 by Representative Moore, the first. A bill being titled Act to authorize the probate court of Dade County to charge a technology fee.
Intergovernmental Coordination.
House Bill 1155 by Representative Douglas, the 78th, Holly, the 111th, Robichaud, the 48th, Wilkerson, the 38th, Hobson, the 153rd. Bill being titled Act to amend Chapter 31, Title 36, the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to incorporation of municipal corporations.
Governmental Affairs.
House Bill 1156 by Representative Carson, the 46th, Wilkerson, and the 38th, Earhart, the 36th, Thomas, the 39th, Cooper, the 43rd, and others. A bill being titled Act to amend an act consolidating the offices of tax collector and receiver and the office of tax commissioner, Cobb County.
Intergovernmental Coordination.
House Bill 1157 by Representative England and the 116th, Kirby, the 114th, Gaines, the 117th. Bill being titled Act to create the State Court of Barrow County.
Intergovernmental Coordination.
House Bill 1158 by Representative Ridley, the 6th. Bill being titled Act to amend Chapter 5C of Title 48 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to alternative ad valorem tax.
Ways and Means.
House Bill 1159 by Representative Laricki of the 169th, Loud of the 122nd, Rogers the 10th, and Reeves the 34th. Bill being titled Act to amend Article 4, Chapter 18 to Title 50 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to inspection of public records.
Rules.
House Bill 1160 by Representative Morris, the 156th. Bill being titled Act to provide for a new charter for the city of Evolva.
Intergovernmental Coordination.
House Resolution 1144 by Representative Howard of the 124th, a resolution honoring the life and memory of Miss Jessie Norman and dedicating an interchange in her memory.
Transportation.
House Resolution 1472 by Representative Werkheiser of the 157th and Meeks of the 178th, a resolution recognizing Mr. William Billy E. Clanton and dedicating a bridge in his honor.
Transportation.
Unnumbered. House Bill by Representative Ralston the 7th to be titled an act to amend an act to provide for a new charter for the city of Blue Ridge and Fannin County.
Intergovernmental Coordination.
Unnumbered. House Bill by Representative Ralston the 7th to be titled an act to authorize the governing authority of the city of Blue Ridge to levy an excise tax pursuant to subsection B.
Intergovernmental Coordination.
Senate Bill 28 by Senators Jackson the 2nd, Huffstetler of the 52nd, Albers of the 56th, Rahman of the 5th, Harbin of the 15th. A bill being titled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 24, Title 33 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to general provisions regarding insurance.
Insurance.
Senate Bill 321 by Senator Huffstetler of the 52nd, Watson the 1st, Honorman of the 45th, Butler of the 55th, and Kirkpatrick of the 32nd. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 34, Title 43 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to physicians.
Regulated Industries.
Senate Bill 337 by Senator Thompson the 14th, Robertson of the 29th, Dugan of the 30th, Gooch of the 51st, Miller of the 49th, and others. Bill being titled an act to amend Part 3 of Article 3 of Chapter 11 of Title 16 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to the invasion of privacy.
Judiciary Non-Civil.
Senate Bill 338 by Senator Kirkpatrick of the 32nd, Black of the 8th, Walker of the 20th, Counselor of the 46th, Anderson of the 24th. Bill being titled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 11 of Title 4 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to general provisions relative to animal protection.
Agriculture and Consumer Affairs.
Senate Bill 358 by Senator Harper of the 7th, Sims of the 12th, Burke of the 11th, Walker of the 20th, Black of the 8th, and others. Bill being titled an act to amend Article 3 of Chapter 3 of Title 50 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to state symbols.
Agriculture and Consumer Affairs.
Senate Bill 381 by Senator Kirkpatrick of the 32nd, Burke of the 11th, Black of the 8th, Walker of the 20th, Wilkinson of the 50th, and others. Bill being titled an act to amend Article 2 of Chapter 2 of Title 26 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to Georgia Food Act.
Agriculture and Consumer Affairs.
Senate Bill 386 by Senator Unnerman of the 45th, Gooch of the 51st, Brass of the 28th, Robertson of the 29th, Martin of the 9th, and others. Bill being titled an act to amend Article 33, Chapter 2, entitled 20, the official code of Georgia annotated relating to Georgia Special Needs Scholarship Act.
Education.
Senate Bill 387 by Senator Jordan of the 6th. Bill being entitled Act to amend Code Section 22-187 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to statewide school lunch program.
Education.
Senate Bill 388 by Senator Kennedy the 18th, Miller the 49th, Albers the 56th, Walker the 20th, Huffstetler the 52nd, and others. A bill being entitled Act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 7 of Title 48 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to general income tax provisions.
Ways and Means.
Senate Bill 405 by Senator Tippins the 37th, Red of the 33rd, Kirkpatrick of the 32nd, Jordan of the 6th, Thompson the 14th, and others. Bill being entitled an act to amend Code Section 15.6.2 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to the number of Superior Court judges.
Judiciary.
Senate Bill 417 by Senator Kirkpatrick of the 32nd, Watson the 1st, Huffstetler of the 52nd, Burke of the 11th, Orac of the 36th, and others. Bill being entitled an act to amend Chapter 34, Title 43 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to physicians.
Health and Human Services.
Senate Bill 430 by Senator Ligon of the 3rd, Miller of the 49th, Huffstetler of the 52nd, Robertson of the 29th, Harbin of the 16th, and others. Bill be entitled an act to amend Part 14 of Article 6 of Chapter 2 of Title 20 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to other educational programs under the Quality Basic Education Act.
Education.
Senate Bill 443 by Senator Stone of the 23rd, Anderson of the 24th, Mullis of the 53rd. Bill being entitled an act to amend Chapter 4, Title 18 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to garnishment proceedings.
Judiciary.
Senate Bill 445 by Senator Kennedy the 18th, Jones the 25th, Lucas the 26th. Bill being entitled an act to amend Code Chapter 7 and Title 12 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to control of soil erosion.
Natural Resources and Environment.
Senate Bill 447 by Senator Martin of the 9th, Stone of the 23rd, Mullis the 53rd, Dugan of the 30th, Miller of the 49th, and others. Bill be entitled an act to amend Code Section 22, 161.2 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to work-based learning programs.
Education.
Senate Bill 466 by Senator Martin of the 9th, Black of the 8th, Brass the 28th, Parent of the 42nd, and Sims the 12th. A bill being entitled an act to amend Part 6 of Article 6 of Chapter 2 of Title 20 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to employment.
Education.
Senate Bill 468 by Senator Honorman of the 45th. Bill being entitled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 8 of Title 4 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to general provisions regarding dogs.
Agriculture and Consumer Affairs.
Senate Bill 473 by Senator Harper the 7th. Bill being entitled an act to amend Chapter 3 of Title 12 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to conservation and natural resources.
Natural Resources and Environment.
Senate Bill 474 by Senator Harper the 7th, being entitled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 7 of Title 50 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to general provisions regarding the Department of Economic Development.
Natural Resources and Environment.
Senate Bill 482 by Senator Burke of the 11th, Miller of the 49th, Dugan of the 30th, Watson of the 1st, and Kirkpatrick of the 32nd. Bill being entitled an act to amend Chapter 53 of Title 31 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to the Office of Health Strategy.
Health and Human Services.
Senate Bill 483 by Senator Brass the 28th and Burke of the 11th. Bill being entitled an act to amend Title 31 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to health.
Special Committee on Access to Quality Health Care.
Senate Resolution 194 by Senator Kirk of the 13th, Dugan of the 30th, Walker the 20th, Underman of the 45th, Beach the 21st, and others. A resolution creating the Joint Study Committee on transferring oversight of developmental disabilities.
Health and Human Services.
Senate Resolution 793 by Senator Beach the 21st, Gooch the 51st, Watson the 1st, Albers the 56th, Harbin the 15th. A resolution creating the Joint Private Financing of Infrastructure Study Committee.
Governmental Affairs.
Senate Resolution 833 by Senator Martin of the 9th, Dugan of the 30th, Gooch the 51st, Jones the 25th, Miller the 49th, and others. A resolution creating the Joint Study Committee on preparing our future workforce.
Education.
That completes first readers.
Second reading of bills and resolutions. The clerk will read.
House Bill 1132 by Representative Mathis of the 144th, the bill to amend an act to provide a new charter for the city of Cochrane. House Bill 1133 by Representative Parsons of the 44th, the bill relating to general provisions of state government. House Bill 1134 by Representative Moore of the 95th, Clark of the 108th, Hutchinson of the 107th, Kennard of the 102nd, Allen of the 40th, and others. A bill to repeal the provisions of House Bill 481. House Bill 1135 by Representative Jackson of the 64th, Hobson of the 153rd, Smyrie of the 135th, Hughley of the 136th, Bodie of the 62nd, a bill relating to special license plates. House Bill 1136 by Representative Rogers of the 10th and Irwin of the 28th, the bill to reincorporate and provide a new charter for the city of Baldwin. House Bill 1137 by Representative Jackson of the 128th, the bill to authorize the assessment and collection of a technology fee by the State Court of Washington County. House Bill 1138 by Representative Corbett of the 174th, the bill to amend an act to incorporate the town of Argyle. House Bill 1139 by Representative Hughley of the 136th and Spirey of the 135th, a bill relating to requirements of an official legal organ. House Bill 1141 by Representative Jones of the 25th, Couch of the 50th, McLaurin of the 51st, Dreyer of the 59th, a bill relating to driving on the right side roadway, overtaking, passing, and following too closely. House Bill 1142 by Representative Jones of the 25th, Tanner of the 9th, Morris of the 26th, Cantrell of the 22nd, Gilligan of the 24th, a bill to amend an act providing for the creation of one or more community improvement districts in Forsyth County. House Bill 1144 by Representative Wynn of the 89th, Cantrell of the 22nd, Nix of the 69th, Oliver of the 82nd, Hutchinson of the 107th, and others. A bill relating to reporting of child abuse. House Bill 1145 by Representative Barton of the 5th, a bill to amend an act to provide a new charter for the city of Calhoun. House Resolution 1430 by Representative Parsons of the 44th, resolution creating the House Study Committee on Demand-Side Management and Energy Use. House Resolution 1431 by Representative Frazier of the 126th, Bruce of the 61st, Dickerson of the 113th, Evans of the 83rd, Smyrie of the 135th, a resolution recognizing Mayor Maggie Bell Cheatham Cartwright and dedicating a bridge in her honor. House Resolution 1432 by Representative Lurkia of the 169th, a resolution recognizing PFC Charles E. Day and FC Jerome Day and dedicating a bridge in their honor. House Resolution 1433 by Representative Perkle of the 155th, McCall of the 33rd, Bentley of the 139th, Watson of the 172nd, Dickey of the 140th, resolution urging Congress to expand the eligibility requirements for the H-2A and H-2B guest worker visa programs. House Resolution 1434 by Representative Welch of the 110th, Gardner of the 57th, Reeves of the 34th, Jaspers of the 11th, Dickey of the 140th, resolution urging the Georgia Department of Education to consider whether any course credit recognition or any other benefit may be conferred upon students who have foreign travel experience involving substantial and instructive exposure in a foreign country. Senate Bill 311 by Senator Kirkpatrick of the 32nd, Unterman of the 45th, Robertson of the 29th, Burke of the 11th, and Rhett of the 33rd, a bill relating to general provisions regarding health. Senate Bill 318 by Senator Ligon Jr. of the 3rd, Miller of the 49th, Robertson of the 29th, Heath of the 31st, Thompson of the 14th, and others, a bill relating to education. Senate Bill 344 by Senator Mullis of the 53rd, Miller of the 49th, Duggan of the 30th, Gooch of the 51st, Kennedy of the 18th, and others, a bill relating to order requiring prisoners' delivery to serve as witness or criminal defendant generally, expenses, and prisoner under death sentence as witness. Senate Bill 369 by Senator Payne of the 54th, Hostetler of the 52nd, Albers of the 56th, a bill relating to returns of public utilities to Commissioner of the Department of Revenue, itemization of fair market value of property, other information, appointment to more than one tax jurisdiction. Senate Bill 391 by Senator Kirkpatrick of the 32nd, Watson of the 1st, Alberts of the 56th, Burke of the 11th, Hofstetler of the 52nd, a bill relating to general provisions regarding insurance. Senate Bill 439 by Senator Brass of the 28th, Thompson of the 14th, Mullins of the 53rd, Gooch of the 51st, Duggan of the 30th, and others, a bill relating to the Juvenile Code. Senate Bill 442 by Senator Ligon Jr. of the 3rd, Kennedy of the 18th, Tillery of the 19th, Cowsert of the 46th, a bill relating to property. Senate Bill 462 by Senator Kennedy of the 18th, Gooch of the 51st, Duggan of the 30th, Jones of the 25th, and Mullis of the 53rd, a bill relating to banking and finance. Senate Bill 475 by Senator Martin of the 9th and Butler of the 55th, a bill to amend an act to provide a new charter for the city of Grayson. Senate Bill 490 by Senator Thompson of the 14th and Hofstetler of the 52nd, a bill to amend an act to provide a new homestead exemption from certain city of Cartersville ad valorem taxes. Through second readers.
Reports of standing committees, the clerk will read.
Representative Tom McCall, 33rd District Chairman of the Committee on Agriculture and Consumer Affairs, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Agriculture and Consumer Affairs has sent into consideration the following bills and resolutions to the House and Senate. It has instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. Senate Bill 362, do pass. House Resolution 1350, do pass. Respectfully submitted. Representative Tom McCall, 33rd District Chairman. Representative Trey Kelly, the 16th District Chairman of the Committee on Access to the Civil Justice System, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Access to the Civil Justice System has had under consideration the following bills to the House and instructed me to report same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 474 to pass by committee substitute. Respectfully submitted. Representative Trey Kelly, the 16th District Chairman. Representative Rick Jaspers, the 11th District Chairman of the Committee on Education, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Education has had under consideration the the following bills of the House. It's instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 476 do pass by substitute. House Bill 1106 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Rick Jaspers, the 11th District Chairman. Representative Martin of the 49th District, Chairman on Committee on Higher Education, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Higher Education has had under consideration the following bills of the House and instructed me to report the same back to the House. The following recommendations. House Bill 1084 do pass by committee substitute. House Bill 995 do pass by committee substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Martin of the 49th District, Chairman. Representative Shaw Blackman of the 146th District, Chairman of Committee on Governmental Affairs, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Governmental Affairs has had under consideration the following bills of the House and instructed me to report the same back to the House. The following recommendations. House Bill 854 do pass by committee substitute. House Bill 962 do pass by committee substitute. House Bill 973 do pass by committee substitute. House Bill 1058 do pass by committee substitute. House Bill 955 do pass by committee substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Shaw Blackman of the 146th District, Chairman. Representative Sharon Cooper, the 43rd District Chairman of Committee on Health and Human Services, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Health and Human Services has under consideration the following bills and resolutions of the House and instructed me to report the same back to the House. The following recommendations. House Bill 1046 do pass by committee substitute. House Bill 1125 do pass. House Resolution 1302 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Sharon Cooper, the 43rd District Chairman. Representative Barry Fleming of the 121st District, Chairman of Committee on Judiciary, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Judiciary has had in consideration the following bills of the House and instructed me to report the same back to the House. The following recommendations. House Bill 479 do pass by committee substitute. House Bill 1078 do pass by committee substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Barry Fleming of the 121st District, Chairman. Representative Matt Dubnik of the 29th District, Chairman of the Committee on Juvenile Justice, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Juvenile Justice has had under consideration the following bills of the House and instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 1068 do pass. House Bill 1074 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Matt Dubnik of the 29th District, Chairman. Representative Mark Newton of the 123rd District, Chairman of the Committee on Access to Quality Health Care, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Access to Quality Health Care has had under consideration the following bills of the House. This instructed me to report same back to the House. The following recommendations. House Bill 542 do pass by committee substitute. House Bill 1027 do pass by committee substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Mark Newton of the 123rd District, Chairman. Representative Jay Kelly of the 16th District, Chairman of the Committee on Access to the Civil Justice System, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Access to the Civil Justice System has had under consideration the following bills of the House. It's instructed me to report same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 1108 to pass by committee substitute. House Bill 1116 to pass by committee substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Trey Kelly of the 16th District, Chairman. Representative Powell of the 32nd District, Chairman of the Committee on Regulated Industries, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Regulated Industries had under consideration the following bills and resolution of the House. It instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Resolution 378 do pass by substitute. House Bill 570 do pass by committee substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Powell of the 32nd District, Chairman. Representative John Carson of the 106th District, Chairman of the Committee on Ways and Means, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Ways and Means has had under consideration the following bills of the House. It instructed me to report same back to the House. The following recommendations. House Bill 979 do pass by committee substitute. House Bill 1102 do pass by committee substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative John Carson of the 106th District, Chairman. That completes the reading of the reports of standing committees.
Okay, we're going on now to morning orders. We're going on now to morning orders. Chair's going to ask members to limit their remarks to not more than 1 minute each. Chair recognizes Chairman Beverly for a morning order. Just a minute, Mr. Chairman. This House will be at order. House will be at order. Gentlemen may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This week, I want to commend the Speaker for the steps, extraordinary steps he took to try to keep us safe. And we know in this chamber that we are a family, and that the Speaker does his level-headed best to do what he needs to do to keep us safe. And so I want to commend him for what he's done for us. In these extraordinary times, I also would like to say to the governor, thank you for appropriating money in his budget. I know that our caucus sounded the alarm a couple days ago when we were taking up this consideration. But we came together and we decided that this is the right thing to do. This coronavirus is a pandemic. We've never been through anything like this. And we're not sure what the outcome is going to be. But at a time like this, it is extremely important that we come together for the benefit of the members in this House and in the state of Georgia. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you and look forward to the next step. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chair recognizes Chairman Dollar for a morning order.
Thank you, Speaker. We have a group here today, some folks who have braved the journey all the way from Dubai to be with us today. Berkshire Hathaway has expanding their real estate company into that part of the world, and they've come to be here with us today. If they would stand and let us greet them. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative Rogers for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a resolution here that you may want to sign. All it simply does is commend Camp Sunshine, the camp that has reached out to children with cancer and their families for a number of years. It provides some phenomenal programs, and it just commends them for the work they're doing, and it's a way of encouraging them to keep up the good work and to some of the people that need it the most. If you'd like to sign on to the resolution, I'll have it at my desk. Thank you very much. Thank you, Speaker.
Chair recognizes Representative Holly for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank you as well for knowing that even though we were in recess for February, that you allowed for me to be able to close out this ceremony memory of our Black history. If you can't be better unless you can see better, focus your eyes to the top left, you'll see Miss Jessie Daniel Ames. She was a League of Women Voters advocate who throughout the South, she gathered 40,000 signatures of respected white women to help stop the lynching of Black men. Look to the top right, you see Miss Lucy Randolph Mason. She's a CIO labor organizer who founded the Southern Conference of Human Welfare to push for interracial solidarity and a living wage in the workforce. Bottom left, we all know him as U.S. Army veteran and Baseball Hall of Famer, Branch Rickey, who broke the color barrier by signing Cairo, Georgia's own legendary Jackie Robinson. And lastly, we see World War I veteran a progressive Republican, his name Joel Spingarn, who commissioned black officers to station in Des Moines, Iowa, and was later founded the NAACP. Thank you. This has been your moment in Black history, otherwise known simply as history. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes Representative Carter for a morning order.
Good morning, Speaker Ralston. Today, I have an extremely special group. I don't know if we can put that together. But anyway, for those of you who are Second Amendment advocates, yes, we have today with us the National African American the National African American Gun Association here with us celebrating February 22nd. We had Second Amendment Day here at the Capitol. We celebrated with them over at Stutters. They were organized in 2015. You guys stand up while I keep talking. So they were established in 2015. Their headquarters is in Griffin, Georgia. They were founded to preserve, protect, and defend the Second Amendment rights of members of the African American community. They are 75 chapters nationwide. They will have their inaugural conference in the metro area in August the 14th through the 16th, 2020. Their leader is Colin Mapp and Doug Jefferson, and I want to thank my friend Dexter Porter, who made sure that we recognize them today, and he had me on the gun range, believe that or not. We yield the will.
Chair recognizes Representative Glanton for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, I would ask that my colleagues in the Military Caucus of the House would join us this morning as we recognize two distinguished groups that are with us in the gallery this morning. This morning we have with us, Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the House, Kappa Lambda Chi Military Fraternity Incorporated, as well as Kappa Epsilon Psi Military Sorority Incorporated. And Mr. Speaker, I want to let you know that we are extremely proud of not only your service to our country, but your service to communities around this great United States. We're also proud to know that you're moving your national headquarters, both the fraternity and the sorority, to Atlanta, Georgia, Decatur Preparatory. So thank you for that. Ladies and gentlemen, you have on your desk, you have some brochures that represent both the fraternity and the sorority, and we would ask that you would read those, and if you know of anybody that have served in the military, regardless of whether they're active duty, reserve, National Guard, or otherwise, to please look up these two organizations and become a part of these organizations. I would also like to say that these are the members of these organizations will be down here in the ante room to take pictures. If you would like to have a picture with them, we would ask that you come down as they come down to take the picture in the ante room. So once again, thank you so much for your service to our country. Thank you so much to our service to our communities, and we salute you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I yield the well.
Chair recognizes Chairman Cantrell for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, I rise today to address the topic of sex trafficking. You say, why sex trafficking and why today? The connection between casinos and sex trafficking is undeniable. A simple Google search will reveal everything you know to confirm this fact. Research shows that sex trafficking and prostitution spikes around casinos. A study by UNLV's Gaming Research and Review Journal reveals that people who frequent casinos are 260% more likely to purchase sex. The John Jay College on Criminal Justice found that a large percentage of youth in the sex trade find their clients around the casinos in Atlantic City. Atlanta has been known as a hub for sex trafficking over the last several years. We at the General Assembly have done a lot of things to combat that and hopefully eliminate it. Why would we invite casinos into our state now when we know that sex trafficking occurs around those facilities? Please stand with me if in any effort to combat casinos. We've had a lot of talk about the little guy, standing up for the little guy, and as a little guy, I like that analogy. This is your opportunity to stand up for the little guy. Let's stand together against casinos in Georgia. Thank you.
We are out of time. We're out of time. Those who didn't get reached today, if you wish to be carried over to the next legislative day, please see the messenger. Chair recognizes Representative Washburn to introduce the Doctor of the Day.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, it is an honor for me today to introduce our Doctor of the Day, Dr. Steve Tuck. Dr. Tuck is a native of Dalton, Georgia. He received his undergraduate degree from the University of Alabama and his medical degree from Mercer University. He specializes in internal medicine and has been practicing for 31 years. He's a partner of Quantum Healthcare in Macon, Georgia, where he resides with his family. I asked the doctor a few minutes ago how often he has performed this service for us, and with 31 years in practice, he has been here to be our Doctor of the Day 15 times, which is certainly commendable. And Dr. Tuck, we thank you for your dedicated service to us. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce Dr. Steve Tuck, our Doctor of the Day.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the hospitality I get every time I get to come up here. I appreciate all the hard work you do, and I know y'all have a very busy day ahead of you. Good luck.
Thank you very much. Get a picture. All right, we're back conducting business. All members in the chamber will please take their seats. The chair recognizes the chairman of the House Appropriations Committee for a motion.
Mr. Speaker, I move that this House adopt the Conference Committee report on House Bill 792.
Chairman England has moved that this House adopt the Conference Committee report on House Bill 792. The clerk will read the Conference Committee report.
Committee of Conference report on House Bill 792. The Committee of Conference on House Bill 792 recommends that both the House of Representatives and the Senate recede from their positions and that the attached Committee of Conference substitute to House Bill 792 be adopted. Respectfully submitted for the House of Representatives, Terry England, Representative 116th District, Jones, the 47th District, Burns, the 159th District. For the Senate, Hill of the 4th District, Miller of the 49th District, Dugan of the 30th District.
The chair recognizes Chairman England to explain the Committee of Conference report for House Bill 792.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, you have in front of you a couple of documents. One is the actual bill with the cover sheet, signed cover sheet on the front. But you also have a very small document that is actually the change or agreements document. And as you can see, there were not a whole lot of differences. But there's 7 things that I want you to know about this bill since it left the House. One is there are very few changes. As you can see that, of a 211-page bill, there are only 9 pages of differences, nearly all of which are adjustments in existing number or language that simply refine or change a little bit the House's position. The bill contains an increase in the revenue estimate of $100 million. In addition from the Revenue Shortfall Reserve Fund, as the governor had mentioned yesterday in his letter to us requesting for a change and the addition of the $100 million for the response to the coronavirus. That is reflected on page 2, the 7th item from the top of the bill, not the change tracking sheet, but of the bill itself. And then as well in the tracking sheet at 171.2 in the Governor's Emergency Fund is the authorized expenditure to specifically address any and all issues related to coronavirus and any required federal matches. Now, my friend, the minority leader, he likes to talk about the foundation and it being shaken, and I would tell him that I agree with him on this occasion, that this is one of those times that the foundation is being shaken and that we do need to go into those emergency funds to use them for the purpose of which it is there for, and this time is now. The bill also includes a $5 million add for rural hospitals to aid in their preparations as well, and the restoration of full funding to grant and aid to all county health departments. Also, you'll notice that all fees for purposes that have been specifically designated are reflected in House Bill 792 as well. Things such as the Solid Waste Trust Fund, Hazardous Waste Trust Fund, the provider fees, and so on. House Bill 792 also fully funds QBE and provides $132.8 million additional dollars to the Department of Education to provide for the midterm enrollment growth adjustment or the addition of 6,193 additional students in our school systems across the state. It includes the additional funds for charter system grants, special needs scholarship, and the State Commission Charter Schools supplements. The Senate completely agreed with the House that the 3 state schools that provide the direct education of hearing or visually impaired students should be funded as well and should not have been cut and be exempted just as QBE had been as well. The Senate also agreed to fully restore the $1.3 million reduction that had been proposed to public libraries and to the Georgia Archives. We maintained the House position on behavioral health with an addition of $8.2 million in new access to services and treatment capacity for over 2,300 more Georgians in need of crisis treatment. In support of our number one industry in this state, House Bill 792, as it left the House, has $3.1 million for extension positions and programming, $25 million for forest land protection grants, and the funding for the Georgia Grown brand and its marketing both nationally and internationally. Criminal justice reform is upheld by both chambers throughout the full restoration of $4 million in proposed reductions to juvenile justice incentive grants, accountability courts, and fully funding the payrolls of public defenders in every county. And as well, the House position maintains 8 scientists and 2 lab technicians at GBI for the timely processing of evidence and especially rape kits. I'm certain that the $100 million in reserve funding for the protection of our citizens' health requested by the governor and granted by the General Assembly will be a topic for weeks to come. However, I urge you not to lose sight of the incredibly important function supported in the long-term view of House Bill 792, and I do urge your favorable consideration. Mr. Speaker, I'll be glad to take a couple of questions if there are any. Otherwise, I would ask my colleagues to please support House Bill 792 Conference Committee report.
You do not appear to have any questions.
That being the case,
I'm sorry, you do have a question.
All righty then.
Do you yield?
Yes, sir.
Chair recognizes Representative Holcomb to your left for a question.
Does the gentleman yield?
Yes, sir.
You know, I apologize for not having a chance to speak with you earlier. I've been out a lot, but it's good to be back. My question is, in light of the overall economic situation that seems to be unfolding on a daily basis, do you have any concerns in terms of recognizing that we're shifting $100 million from the strategic reserve? Do you have any concerns in terms of the overall budget estimate for those monies that we're just anticipating revenues to be received, if that needs to be adjusted, and maybe it's something we look at down the road?
Well, yes, sir. We've always got that opportunity, and the governor always has that opportunity to adjust that revenue estimate as well. And again, the Revenue Shortfall Reserve Fund is there for things like this. This is something that none of us saw coming. Otherwise, a very healthy economy. Do realize that there is some angst among our citizenry about things that are going on. However, I would tell you in some conversations this morning that it is felt that it's probably going to be a fairly short-term situation as far as the impact to the markets and things that are going on, and then a fairly robust recovery after that point.
Okay. Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Do you further yield?
Yes, sir.
Chair recognizes Representative Cannon to your left for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Do you yield?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Just 2 clarifying questions. On that similar point, Section 27, around the Governor's Emergency Fund for the Department of Law, anticipated litigation, can you speak to how that connects to Section 33, where that money is removed from the Department of Law?
That was actually a move that the House had made in our original version of moving $2.5 million over for litigation. However, upon further investigation, those funds actually do need to be in the Governor's Emergency Fund, because they directly pay to the agencies for any litigation that is incurred. The agencies actually are billed directly and then remit directly from the agency, and then what the governor does is issue executive orders transferring funds out of the emergency fund to the agency to reimburse them for those legal expenses.
Thank you. Do you yield for just one further clarifying question?
Yes.
For Section 38, around reducing funds for the Maternal and Child Health Services block grant, can you help me understand why it goes from 197,000 to 0?
You said Section 38?
Correct.
Hold on just a second. I think that deals with the actual so the proposed cut, looking at line 242.7.
Correct.
There was a proposed cut of 197,792, and so what the conference committee has come back with is an agreement not to take a cut.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
You have other questions, but it's up to you to yield.
Mr. Speaker, I will take one more question, and otherwise I think everyone knows how they feel about the bill and how they feel about how they're going to vote. I'll be glad to take other questions at my desk during the voting period, but I will take one more question.
Chair recognizes Representative Vernon Jones to your left for a question.
Will the distinguished chairman yield, please?
Yes, sir.
Is it true that although you made some cuts when we had to, and you also set aside more for our reserves, that it does maintain our good status of a dual AAA credit rating, and that's not being impacted at all?
Correct, and it's actually a triple AAA, not just a dual. And in talking with the governor's office yesterday morning as we were beginning the discussions on the potential need to have the funds moved over for the response, they contacted all three of the bond rating agencies yesterday, and all three bond rating agencies did agree and concur that this would be something that they would agree with and not look at unfavorably toward our credit rating. So yes, sir. Mr. Speaker, with that, I will yield the well and again ask everyone's favorable consideration on this conference committee report. Thank you.
Gentleman has yielded the well on the adoption of the conference committee report on House Bill 792. All those in favor of the adoption of the conference committee report will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines on the adoption of the conference committee report on House Bill 792. The ayes are 166, the nays are 1, and this House has adopted the conference committee report. What purpose does Chairman England rise?
Make a motion, Mr. Speaker.
State your motion.
I move to immediately transmit House Bill 792 to the governor.
Chairman England has moved that House Bill 792 be immediately transmitted to the governor of Georgia pursuant to the Constitution of the state of Georgia. Is there objection to the gentleman's motion? Is there objection? Chair hears none, and it is on its way. Oh, we do? Okay. All right. All those in favor of the motion to immediately transmit to the governor will vote aye. Those opposed to immediate transmittal will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the gentleman's motion. The ayes are 169, the nays are 0, and this House has immediately transmitted to the governor House Bill 792, the conference committee report on 792. Chair recognizes the majority leader of the House for a resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, colleagues. Yesterday, or this week, we adopted a adjournment resolution. And of course, you know, the only thing certain in times, especially like that we're in now, is change. So there's some substantial changes that have occurred that all of you are aware of as I am. And part of those changes were a cancellation of numerous events around our state. And those cancellations have impacted our schedule. So let me go with the schedule a little bit with you, and then I'll give you a little more information and tell you what the changes are. We had scheduled to be out of session on Monday and Tuesday of next week to give our members an opportunity to make sure they attended the events that were occurring around the state. So this new resolution will have us in on Tuesday, March 17th, and not out for day 30. We're still in tomorrow for first readers, and I think that's been explained to everyone. The second change on that schedule was towards the end, right before we finish our work here, was that we were going to be in on Tuesday, March the 31st. We were going to have one committee work day before sine die. Now this will allow us to have two committee work days on Tuesday, March 31st, and Wednesday, April 1st, before sine die. That's what this resolution I'd ask you to adopt today. It puts us in step with the Senate on exact language, exact days, and exact words. Out of abundance of caution, I would ask you to adopt this resolution. Now, as we all know, there are some things that are being discussed in this building and how we conduct our business here in the next few days and the next few weeks. And I commend my colleague, Representative Beverly, for his comments about the speaker and the leadership here and how he has always protected our interest and the interests of Georgians and the safety of us all. I would refer to you on Part 5, which is not on the board, but I'll tell you what it says real quickly. This resolution would also resolve in any case of emergency or disaster resulting in the discontinuation of the schedule for meetings and authorized by this resolution. Speaker of the House of Representatives and the President of the Senate shall provide for prompt notice of the same to all members of the House of Representatives and all members of the Senate, respectfully. By such means as such officer deemed practical and efficient, and each House shall be and remain in adjournment until convened for the next legislative day on the date certain jointly specified by such officers. Following that reconvening, we would go back to a schedule and we would redo a schedule then. That's exactly what happened in the past few years when we've experienced the weather delays that's impacted our schedule here when we had a schedule that had been agreed to by both bodies. The Lieutenant Governor and the Speaker came together and deemed it necessary that we adopt emergency procedures that make sure we would all be safe, but we could return here and adopt and do the people's business at the appropriate time. Mr. Speaker, I think that explains what I'm asking here. If there's any questions, I will attempt to answer them, and if not, I would ask you to adopt this new resolution.
You have a couple of questions. Do you yield?
I do.
Chair recognizes the Minority Leader of the House, Leader Trammell, to your left for a question.
Will the gentleman yield?
I yield, my friend.
Isn't it true that the resolution that you're asking this House to adopt is a placeholder and does not in any way take any of the options off of the table that are under discussion in this Capitol today?
That is true. Thank you for the question. It is absolutely correct.
And will the gentleman further yield?
Yes, I will.
Would the gentleman agree that in all probability that we will not be in session on some of the days that are on the adjournment calendar?
If I was a betting man, but I'm not, because I always lose when I bet, Mr. Leader, but I think that's a possibility, yes.
And would the gentleman yield for one final question?
I would.
Adoption of this, isn't it true that adoption of this resolution in no way takes away the right of any member of this body to make any motion pursuant to the rules with respect to anything, including a motion for adjournment?
I think that's the case. It's the right of any member of this body. Yes, sir.
Chair,
but I would defer to the Speaker.
Chair recognizes the Dean of the House, Representative Smyrie, to your left for a question.
Leader, just to follow up with the minority leader, also, this schedule right here reflects the fact of the matter that now the House and Senate, in order for us to do business, are now on the same accord as it relates to the conducting of business. In other words, transmission, therefore, and anything that happens on the floor of the House now, the Senate will consider, and vice versa, the House will be able to consider at the same time.
That is exactly correct, Dean.
And then following up also, the minority leader, that subject to change, under the rules of the House, we can always come back and amend a resolution that we have adopted that pertains to the agenda.
That is exactly correct. In that part 5, it says, following reconvening, the General Assembly may provide by joint resolution for a new schedule for meetings and adjournments.
All right, thank
and
you.
that's the language we would be adopting here. Yes, sir.
I just want to make sure everybody understood. Thank you very much.
No further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think we've thoroughly explained it, and I think everyone understands what we're trying to do out of abundance of caution, and would ask your favorable consideration on adopting this new adjournment resolution.
So let me be sure to sort of summarize the questions that have been asked. This does two things. One, it gets us on the same schedule as the Senate is on.
That's correct.
And secondly, it carries forward the language that we have historically used that allow the chair and the president of the Senate to adjourn the General Assembly for appropriate reasons. That could be done today, tomorrow, or next week.
That's correct, Mr. Speaker, just like we've utilized in the past when we had an emergency. And emergencies come in all different styles and fashions, and certainly that's where we are now, but that's what we've done in the past. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. You have no further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the will.
Question before the body is on the adoption of the House resolution on adjournment. All those in favor of adopting the resolution will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the adoption of the resolution of adjournment. The ayes are 168, the nays are 0, and this resolution has been adopted by this House. For what purpose does the majority leader rise?
I'd like to be recognized for a motion, Mr. Speaker.
State your motion.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we immediately transmit the House resolution dealing with adjournment to the Senate. Immediately transmit them.
On the gentleman's motion that the adjournment resolution be immediately transmitted to the Senate, is there objection? Is there objection? The chair hears none, and the resolution is on its way over. Yeah, if we're going to take up a bill or two, if members, the clerk's office tells me they will pass out copies of the resolution. If you want to take your seats, we won't have a line over there. We will make sure you get one here in the next minute or so. Okay, we're going to take up a little business here before we take a break. Clerk will read the caption to House Bill 1093.
House Bill 1093 by Representative Meeks, the 178th, and others, to be entitled an act to amend Article 2, Chapter 8, Title 2 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to agricultural commodity commissions generally, so as to provide for an agricultural commodity commission for wine and grapes. This bill then referred to the Committee on Agriculture and Consumer Affairs. That committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Chair recognizes Representative Meeks to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members of the House, I bring to you House Bill 1093, which amends the Commodity Promotions Act under the purview of the Georgia Department of Agriculture to create an agricultural commodity commission for wine and grapes that is grown and made in Georgia. Creates a 5-member commission appointed by the ex officio members of the Georgia Department of Agriculture. Requires 3 years balloting, so every 3 years the commission will have to be reaffirmed by the voting members of the commission. Again, it's a 5-member commission selected by the ex officios. It also creates a marketing order for the members of the commission to establish a self-assessment for the use of funds to be for the funds to be used for promotion and research of their products. So with that, Mr. Speaker, I'll stand for any questions.
You have no questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the will and ask for your favorable consideration.
Gentleman has yielded the will. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines. On the passage of House Bill 1093, the ayes are 157, the nays are 11. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. The clerk will read the caption to House Bill 1026.
House Bill 1026 by Representative Dickey, the 140th, and others, to be titled an act to amend Code Section 23-499 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to the selection of REACH scholars. This bill I referred to the Committee on Education. The committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Chair recognizes Chairman Dickey to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and members. This morning I bring you a very small change to our REACH Scholarship Program. It's a great program that many of you are very aware of. It's in 154 of our school systems now as we give these scholarships to these 8th graders. And when they get to college or technical school for Georgia. And it's a wonderful, wonderful program. That's a partnership between our state and local and foundation. And last year in SB 83, we made some changes, put this into law. This bill this year just adjusts the number of scholars that we have in our large systems and our small systems. It's very slight, going from 12 to 8 and from 7 to 5, just to better reflect our budget. And I really appreciate the support of the Speaker and Chairman England and Chairman Knight and all of you for the funding for our REACH program. And so that's all this bill does, 2 slight changes. I'll be happy to take any questions.
You have no questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I will yield the will.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of House Bill 1026 will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machine. What purpose does Representative Bodie rise?
Mr. Speaker, parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Isn't it not true that this bill is actually going to reduce the number of scholarships? Is that not correct, Mr. Speaker?
I think you need to go over and ask the author of the bill. I know he is a great supporter of this program. Chair, what purpose does Chairman Hogan rise? He waves. What purpose does Representative Lopez Romero rise?
Mr. Speaker, a parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Mr. Speaker, isn't it true this program is going to reduce scholarships, yet another good and successful program because of the state budget cuts that the state tax cuts that we did last year?
Well, I think the next parliamentary inquiry I recognize may be able to answer that. What purpose does Chairman Dickey rise?
Parliamentary
State your inquiry.
Isn't it true that this body just in the budget we passed to the Senate increases funding for REACH scholarships by $2 million, and this change that I propose today only adjusts it back to where it presently is? The program has never been to the levels that was put into law last year, and due to budget issues that this really strengthens the program.
If the gentleman so states, I know he's very familiar with this issue. All right, all those in favor are voting aye. Those opposed are voting no. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of House Bill 1026, the ayes are 109, the nays are 58, and this bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Chair recognizes the Majority Caucus Whip, Representative Kelly, for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your committee for access to the civil justice system will meet immediately upon adjournment for lunch in room 133. Thank you.
I don't show any other requests for announcements. Let me announce one bit of little housekeeping issue. This came up a couple, 3 years ago. 1 year before I was up at the podium in this position, we stayed here on crossover night till almost 2 a.m. Violated everything my mama had always taught me, that nothing good happens at 2 a.m. So although the law does not require this, it is the chair's intention that we're going to end before or no later than midnight tonight. So just for your planning purposes, that means there's a lot of bills on the rules calendar. They may meet again. They're not all going to be called. Chair, the House will be in recess for lunch until 2 p.m.